When I ask for an answer as a class, you'll answer as a class. It'll be done in unison. Means all together. This needs to be written down in your journal. We're going to work this problem together.
The dot means time.
Okay, wait time. I'm about to ask you the question. We're going to answer in unison the question I'm going to ask. What does that floating dot mean? That's the question I'm going to ask. So wait time, think. Ethan, what does the floating dot mean?
It's like a multiplication sign.
It is a multiplication sign. Lainey, why are we transitioning away from the X to the floating dot?
Because the X, because those times tables, the like multiplying symbol looks like an X.
Good.
And they don't want it to look like another number.
Good.
Or letter.
Because as we move into algebra, which we're beginning a little bit, basically, I'm going to tell you right now, you've always done algebra. You have done algebra since you began adding, since you began subtracting. You had problems like this when you were younger.
Yeah.
You've done problems like that when you were younger, correct?
Yes.
That's an algebra problem.
Yes, it is. What?
Yes, because this could be written very easily as... And then you'd have to tell me what y equals. Okay? So you've done it since you've started adding. You've done problems just like that since you started subtracting. You've done problems just like that with multiplying, with dividing. But what tends to happen is students get a little freaked out and think they don't know how to do these types of problems, and it's not accurate. You do already know how to do them. I was going to say you do know how to do them.
You do.
That would be inappropriate for me to say as a teacher in class. You don't know that for sure.
Oh.
Yeah, witnesses.
That was funny.
All right, so think time. I'm going to ask you to say this problem in words. This is a little tricky because when we say this particular problem in words, we don't just read it from left to right. We don't just read it from left to right.
Hey, I need it.
Okay, I've still got too many people not with me.
Quiet.
Did you take a share? Did you take a share?
Evan, when you're doing this problem, where would you start? Okay, good. We're going to do everything inside the brackets first on this problem.
Okay.
So if I were saying this part, I would say something like the sum of 2 5/10 plus 3 8/10. Or not, I'm sorry. Boom, erase that. The sum of 2 times 5 plus 3 times 8. Or add 14 to the sum of 2 times 5 and 3 times 8. Okay, so Evan told me that we start inside the brackets. A little loud. That we start inside the brackets.
Yeah.
If it has brackets, you always start inside those. You do every operation inside the brackets. Now, as we do these, it's going to funnel down and look kind of like a tornado. Don't be alarmed if you see it. It's not a real tornado. It's just something I'm writing.
Okay.
So Evan decided we start with find the product of the factors 2 and 5. Find the product of the factors 2 and 5. Evan, what is the product of the factors 2 and 5? 10. Plus, we're going to do this parentheses inside that parentheses, which is the product of 3 and 8. Ryan, what is the product of 3 and 8?
24.
24.
So put 24.
Okay? Now these are still inside the brackets. These are still inside the brackets. Ethan, you have a question?
Oh no.
No? Okay. Okay, so now here's our tornado part. It's getting a little smaller. Nevaeh, what part do we do next?
So we're back to
Wait, so it's gonna look like a tornado because
As we do steps, we don't have to write those anymore.
oh, okay. So you plus the 10 and the 24.
Good. I find the sum of 10 and 24. I find the sum of 10 and 24. Nevaeh, what is the sum of 10 and 24?
Huh. Wait. 3.
Good. 34.
3.
I bring down everything I have not used. I have only one operation now. I'm left with just the operation and find the sum of 14 and 34. Olivia, what is the sum of 14 and 34? 48. So my answer to this expression is 48. Think time, class. Think time. I want to know why this is an expression and not an equation. I want to know why this is an expression and not an equation. Bethany, why is that an expression and not an equation? Salon, you have any idea? Good. An equation would have an equal sign. This is an expression because it does not have an equal sign. Okay, so we simplified this problem and got 48. Simplify means to do all the work you can on that problem. Do all the work you can. As you move up in math, you may not come up with a single number answer. It may come up with, my answer is 2y plus 6. Or something crazy like that. Okay, so for now, that's why it says simplify. Let's look at another problem that I want you to write down when I put it up.
Okay. Is this in our textbook or something like that?
Probably. Yes.
It is?
Well, yeah. Yes. Certainly, but just not in here.
No, pay it.
Parentheses, brackets.
Minus.
Okay, so I want you doing that problem. Write it down. I want you to simplify that problem,
Bracket.
going through the order that problem needs to be done, using the correct order to solve that problem. If you're watching at home, please pause the video and solve the video. Yes, solve the video. Okay, we don't need drumming. Ethan, in this particular problem, what would we start with?
8 plus 2.
8 plus 2. Why?
Because, we have to...
Wait. Why do we start with the sum of 8 and 2?
Because they were the first ones that has the
Called parentheses. They're inside the bracket. So we start everything inside the bracket. And so we're going to find the sum of 8 and 2. Yes, ma'am?
Okay.
Oh, good. Not on camera. That would be awkward. Especially if you're watching this at home. All right, so Ethan, what is the sum of 8 and 2?
10.
10. Then we do the other parentheses inside the bracket.
Oh, we put
Taylor,
it. Okay.
what is the difference of 16 and 9? The difference of 16 and 9. That's the subtraction sign tells us we're finding the difference. That would be not 5. 7. These stay inside the brackets. So Helen, as we get to where the problem has been simplified this far, for this particular problem, what would we do? Okay, so I don't have a 3 here. How do I get the 3?
We have to mark.
Okay, so I have to subtract. 10 subtract 7. Some of you are over here talking, which is not what I've asked you to do.
Ooh, I know.
I've asked you to write these in your journal and solve them. It will be your benefit either, or later. Let's change that. We have find the product of 5 and 3. Hunter, what is the product of 5 and 3? 15, excellent. So we've simplified this as far as we can. Yes. We have simplified this one as far as we can. Let's look at another one.
Yay!
Again, I'm going to tell you right now that you're probably going to see some of these problems, not all of them, some of these problems on a homework assignment that you're going to have that'll be due next Thursday. You can probably
Take this home.
figure out what the page would be. And probably I'll do some questions in my first class with you and probably some different questions in my second class.
Then your third.
And probably some different questions in my third class.
Yeah.
So that probably might be beneficial to you for those of you that watch the Tube of You.
I watched the Tube of You on Mr.
Now this one is actually not on there, but I'm doing this one for a specific purpose.
Perfect.
Divided by...
Ooh, I thought I was highlighting that. Oops. Uh-oh, it's division. It's division. 30 divided by... Do we need brackets?
So get that written down, please. Now that was a good question. Jocelyn was asking me,
What?
do we put in brackets? If there are not brackets written in the problem,
Yeah.
you don't have to put brackets in the problem.
Okay.
I'm just saying. So for this particular problem, Kayla, where would we start in this particular problem? 3 plus 2.
Oops, my bracket.
Which is 5. Okay? Now, I'm going to bring down in a new expression everything I have not yet used.
So,
I have not multiplied by 8 yet. And I have not...
I know what 5 times 8 is.
Okay, so your second expression should look like that. Your second expression should look like that.
So,
All right, Ashley, on this particular expression, what would I do next? 5 times 8. Why? Okay, let me ask you this question. If there was a multiplication sign here and a division sign, or if there was a multiplication sign here and a division here, would I still start with the multiplication?
Yes.
Okay. Do I always start with multiplication before division?
Yes.
No.
No.
I do not always start with multiplication before division. So you're telling me I'm multiplying by 5 times 8? Multiplication and division are the exact same step. You do them from left to right. So therefore, since it has a division in this problem and a multiplication, I do them from left to right. I'm going to start with the division because it's furthest to the left. So Ashley, what is 30 divided by 5? 6. I have not multiplied by 8 yet. So now I have 6 multiplied by 8, or the product of 6 and 8. And the product of 6 and 8 is what, Ivan?
48.
6 times 8. 48, you said? Yeah. Sorry, I misheard you. 48. Good, I'm going to write. We're going to do one more problem. One more problem. Uno más.
Uno más, uno más.
Oh, let's look at...
I want to do all of them.
Let's look. We have brackets.
Brackets.
Parentheses.
I
6
love brackets.
times
Way more hard.
2 plus
Brackets.
3.
This one has brackets down.
6 times 2 is there. Plus 3. And we have brackets.
Yeah.
We're adding the brackets together,
What does that mean?
which is 35 because there's an addition sign there.
Oh, okay.
35. Subtract 7 times 3. Okay, I want you to do your work on this and simplify this expression. Simplify this expression.
Multiplication sign there. I could do that.
Do what?
You put multiplication there.
Yeah, I should change that to a dot just because we need to get used to it. The floating dot, as it's called.
Who calls it that?
That's what it should be called. The
Oh.
floating dot.
Okay.
I was out at a meeting for 2 days yesterday, and that's what I learned,
Oh.
that you call it a floating dot.
I put an E for a bracket. I put an
I mean, that's, while I was gone for 2 days, that's all I learned was the floating dot.
What? It should only take 10 minutes.
Okay, now,
Okay.
looking at this problem, it has 2 sets of brackets.
Yes.
Just like when we do multiplication and division, or division and multiplication, it's one step, and we work from left to right, just like you're supposed to read. For
Left
those of you
to
that
right.
read left to right.
I do.
We're going to solve the brackets from left to right. So Reuben, inside this bracket, what do we do first?
The first one to do is multiply 6 times 2.
Why?
Because of the brackets.
The parentheses. The parentheses inside the brackets. And Reuben, what is 6 multiplied by 2? What's the product? 12. We bring down everything we've yet to use. Okay, so inside this bracket, I have find the sum of 12 and 3. Taylor, what is the sum of 12 and 3? That is 15. So I've simplified these brackets. I bring down everything in this bracket. Now I'm going to solve everything in this bracket. And actually what I would do is I would do it and just bring it down and match it up. All right, so Fred, what would I do in this bracket first?
You would do 7 times 3.
7 times 3. Laney, what is the product of 7 and 3? 21. So in the brackets, sorry, these should be brackets. inside these brackets,
Yes.
I only have one expression. I want to find, Helen, I want to find the difference of 35 and 21, which is 14. Since I've simplified the expressions in the brackets, I've come down until I only have one operation. I have find the sum of 15 and 14. And Jocelyn, what is the sum of 15 and 14?
29.
29.
I got the answer.
So this equation or expression, because it doesn't have an equal sign, this expression simplifies all the way down to 29. Boom, shakalaka.